And Bama for presenting that in this meeting. I think it's really important to show everyone here and all of our members, what manufacturing and what supply chain are about. So thank you guys for doing that. Now I would like to introduce the man of the hour, Sam McEwen. He is a multifaceted professional with a passion for personal development and community engagement. With a diverse background encompassing financial coaching, mindset development, DISC personality assessments, and ethical influence, Sam is a trusted advisor and guide for individuals and organizations seeking growth and transformation. As an experienced businessman and seasoned pastor and teacher for middle and high school students at the Harbor Church, Sam understands the importance of effective communication and mentorship. His extensive experience has owned Sam's ability to connect with people of all ages and backgrounds, fostering personal and professional growth. Outside of the coaching realm, Sam finds inspiration in the serenity of fishing and the beauty of spending time on the beach. A devoted family person, Sam is happily married to Rita with 4 children and 7 grandchildren, emphasizing the importance of family values and connections. Whether you're seeking financial guidance, personal development strategies, leadership insights, or a combination of these through Coaching for Impact, Sam is dedicated to helping you navigate your journey towards success and fulfillment. Please help me welcome Sam McEwen.
During the French Revolution, a priest, a politician, and an engineer were scheduled for execution. So the executioner calls up the priest. The priest comes up, lays him on the table. The executioner pulls the cord. The guillotine stops. The executioner says, "Oh my goodness, it's a sign from God. This priest must be in the right." Puts him up, lets him go. The crowd screams. Here comes the politician. Now, we all know what probably happened with the politician, correct? So he lays the politician on the table, pulls the cord. It stops again in the same place. Oh my goodness, this politician must be righteous. Puts him up, lets him go. Everybody screams, yay, 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 yay. Engineer comes up, says, see that bolt right there? If you tighten it, this thing will work. I have a question for all you supply chain managers out there. How many supply chain managers does it take to change a light bulb? None are on back order. I want to talk tonight about communication. George Bernard Shaw said, the single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it's taking place. And unfortunately, in today's society, and you deal with some of the younger generation, and I'm sure that you all have millennial Gen Zs in your organization and things like that, there are some huge issues when it comes to communication. John Maxwell said, everyone communicates, few connect. Research tells us that you will listen for 17 seconds before you respond, before you're ready to respond. So somebody's talking to you, you listen to them for 17 seconds, and you're ready to answer them. So how much did you hear? I find myself doing the same thing. I went through, one of my coaches, Dr. Rick Ricardo, and we were talking about that, and I interrupted him. He said, that was 12 seconds. Thanks, Dr. Rick. I'm sure all of us have taken some sort of assessment to get a job, DISC, Myers-Briggs, any one of those personality profiles to get a job or to be considered for a job. And if you don't score the way they want you to score, you're not getting the job, right? Right. The problem is, any HR managers in here, they use them wrong. They use them wrong. They look at personality rather than communication style. In every personality style, there is a communication style, and if you can learn to communicate on the other person's level, you will be able to grow, you'll be able to enhance your communication with your staff. I use this. There we go. developed by William Marston in 1928, I believe. DISC is a four-letter acronym. It stands for dominance, they're outgoing, task-oriented. You really want somebody like that. Everybody says your sales force should be Ds. They should be boom, 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 should go. But you know what? Only 3% of the population are actually Ds. Okay? I is influencers. These are the people that probably should be in the sales force. Those are the people who can ethically influence. They are outgoing and people focused. So you need that people person, right? S is their steadfast. They are right up and down the line. They will do everything you want them to do. You can count on them. They're reserved and they're people focused. That's about 69% of the population. C's, they're conscientious. Any accountants? Yeah, you're probably a high C, okay? You're reserved, you're task focused. A high C would rather sit in the office with their numbers, sit in the office with their purchase orders, sit in the office with their problems, and leave me alone, right? I was about 10 years old. I was visiting my grandmother. At some point in time, the trash truck came by. Now, this was on a Saturday. They actually picked up the trash on a Saturday. And they had the old metal buckets, you know, and everything else. Well, somebody had parked in front of her trash cans. So, what we call them sanitation engineers now, they bypassed her. Big mistake. She called the mayor. I was there. She called the mayor. She meant business. The other thought that went through my mind is, what else had she called him for? Because he knew who she was. Okay? Come pick up my trash in 20 minutes or I'm bringing it to your doorstep. That's what she told him. I heard it, right? So, now you gotta understand, this was in the early 60s. No cell phones. She dialed on her rotary dial phone, right? And probably just 4 numbers. Anybody remember their LE27108? That was my first cell phone number. That truck was back within 20 minutes. Picked up the trash because he didn't want to mess with her. My grandmother was an extremely high D. The downside to a D, impatient, they're argumentative, they're demanding. I mean, they're going to have it their way. Pure and simple. Okay. But it's only 3% of the population. Unless one of them is your boss, right? So what's the best way to communicate with them? The first thing you have to do is understand what a D's greatest fears are. Losing control. Being dominated. Being taken advantage of. So if you can recognize a person who's a D, you know what they're afraid of. Now, I'm not going to justify my grandmother's actions, but can you see as being wired as a D how she acted the way she did? She's going to have control of the situation. My grandmother was always like that. She was confident. She was driven. Obviously results-oriented. Thrives on the challenge. Makes it this action taker. Okay? Know anybody like that? Fits all those categories? Probably a high D. The impatience and the argumentative came up quite a few times. Okay? But she's wired that way. If you have to communicate with the here's a few keys. Be direct. Don't tell a story. Don't go into great detail. Be direct. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need to do. Be a little more assertive than you're used to being. And if you are a C, that is going to be hard to do. But if you know that the person is a D, you know you have to stand your ground. Okay? Be brief. The D doesn't want to know about this part. The D doesn't want to know about what you did on the weekend. Okay? The D doesn't want to know the backstory. Be brief. Don't go into too much detail. Remember, the D is always going to want to be in control, but if you're communicating them in a proper manner, and you've been direct and a little more assertive, they're going to hear you. Right? It's just the way they're wired. Think about this. If you could teach your management teams, your sales teams, even your employees, how to communicate on a higher level, what would that do to your organization? Senior management, unfortunately, they're senior management. They can do and say whatever they want to do, right? What if they actually knew how to communicate with the guy on the floor that was just struggling and needed some direction, and here comes the CEO, and they are cowering in their boots because they don't know what he's going to say. But the CEO knows that the guy's a C. So he comes up to him, and he treats them, even as his high B, he treats them like a C. He talks to them on the C's level. What about homeowners? I've worked this from the pastoral side, with couples and families. So we have it for the youth side, we have for couples. And a little further on, I'll show you the difference between my grandmother and my grandfather, but had they had something like this, some of the conflicts that I saw would not have happened, because they would have known how to talk to each other. Anybody ever think, man, she just doesn't understand me. She doesn't know where I'm coming from. Well, you have a communication, not a problem. You have a communication style difference, and you need to figure out how to do that. What if, in this scenario, I could teach your salespeople to walk in and within 10 seconds know the communication style of the guy across the desk, or on the phone, know the communication style across the desk. Because there are key indicators in a conversation that will tell you what the communication style is, and then you can begin to communicate on that person's level instead of yours. Okay, it's amazing when you use this properly. So the next style is an I. I's are influencers. They're spontaneous. They have life of the party. They love the spotlight, right? Know anybody like that? Okay, I see some people pointing, so and the fact of the matter is they're wired that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need eyes in your organization. I have a client, and I talked to her today about this. I did tell her that I was going to call her Sally in the presentation. That is not her name, but she knows what I'm talking about. But she's very successful. She runs a title company, all female employees. She called me, she says, man, we're struggling. We are not getting along. Cat fights. I want to kill somebody. I want to fire them. But they were busier than all get out. And I said, look, Sally, this is what I'll do for you. I will give each person an individual disc assessment. I will go through the assessment with each one of them and have a conversation about what their style is, how they're communicating, and all that kind of stuff with them. And then I will do that with you. And then we're going to come together and have a meeting, and we can figure out where the communication is broken down. So I had Sally write down, what do you think you are? She's a business owner. High stress business, high anxiety. Everything has to be accurate, CPA accurate. You cannot, every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed, and you better not miss one. What do you think she was? What do you think she wrote down? Huh? She wrote down her personality profile, her communication style came back IDS. So the D was there when it needed to be, But I'm telling you, she could be the life of the party. When she needed to put the D hat on, that's what came out. I had written down that she was a DI. I missed the S part. So that's close, but she was way off. She didn't think there was any point. Chances are you are not just a D. You are not just a C. There's a combination that's going to work in there that you can use to your advantage when you're communicating with people. When we had our meeting, now there was 8 women in the meeting and me. I asked them, so what do you think was right about this assessment? And what do you think was wrong? Because everybody has their opinion. Well, I don't think I'm that way. Okay, why aren't you that way? And then you ask the girl sitting across the table from them, well, what do you think? Well, no, you remember when? And so then the light bulb starts coming on. Oh, I do that. I do overreact when you come to me with all of these numbers, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and I just want it really quick and brief. The high C is talking to a D like a C. It doesn't work. You know, you go and a high C comes and talks to a D and says, you know, this is top line sales, this is what we spend on this, this is what we spend on this, boom, 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 right down the line. The D is like, what's the bottom line? What's our profit percentage? That's all I want to know. And once they realized that with each other, the office took off. I mean, you know when you walk into an office and there's tension, right? Okay, you feel it? Cut it with a knife sometimes. But they really did work on their communication, and things really got a lot better. With it, let me catch up the slide presentation here. Eyes are persuasive, spontaneous, friendly, they like to spot. Only 11% of the population, by the way. They're great storytellers. They will encourage you. So how do you talk to an eye? Don't do all the talking. You gotta let them talk. Even though they're like the life of the party, you gotta let them. You can't cut them off, right? Even though you're a team and you want them to get to the point, you gotta let them talk. Okay? Hard thing for a D to do with an I. Even though D's and I's play well together. You put them together on a project and you will get it done. Same way with S and C's. They gotta socialize, okay? They gotta have time for socializing. They just do. Follow up on the details because they will let it go. They will ignore the details unless you follow up with them on it, okay? Don't have a 20, 30, 40, 50-minute conversation with them. You lost them in 10 minutes. If you have a conversation that needs to take 40 minutes, do it in 10-minute increments. Break it up so that you can talk to them on their level, and they will hear you. You know, I titled this, Why Can't You Hear Me Now? I can't hear you because you're talking the way you are, and I am trying to listen to you the way I am. Now, if you talk to me the way I am, and you've done that intentionally, I will hear everything you say. S's. 69% of the population, by the way. You gotta love them. You just have to love them. They are your team players. All the time. They are there for the team. They will take one for the team. They will follow up. They will do what is necessary. They are loyal almost to a fault. And they accept whoever comes into the organization. Doesn't matter. You know, doesn't matter difference, ethnic difference, racial difference, short, tall, fat, skinny. They will accept whoever comes into the organization. The loyalty is something that you really have to honor in an S. They seek a friendly environment. They're easygoing, they're agreeable, they are even keel. They will do it at the pace you want them to do it. If they need to pick it up, all you gotta do is talk to them properly and they will pick up the pace. They'll listen. So, where an I will talk, yeses will listen. Yeses will really listen to a D. They're compassionate. They want peace. They want peace in the organization. They want to have good, solid relationships. Relationships matter to you. Communicate with them, friendly. You can be angry as all get out at an S, but and you have to discipline them. And they did something wrong. If you come at them in a friendly manner and in a friendly tone, they will take everything you're saying, they will take it to heart, and they will run with it. But if you're a team and you come at them so direct and demanding and you're dominating them, you lost them. Because I'll be overly aggressive with them. Minimize any potential for confrontation.
Four more. Oh, that's it, okay.
If you are setting them up with a goal, make sure you define it. And everyone's goal. One thing they will assume, if you tell them what the goal is, and you don't tell them who's responsible for what, they're going to assume it's all on them. If you're making changes, give them time. Like I said, they're loyal, they are steadfast, but they need time to adjust the changes. C's, 17% of the population, compliant, analytical, planner, accuracy, that's why accountants, CPAs, planners, I mean, go right down the list of folks like that who demand accuracy, they're more likely high C. They love logic and facts. If you ever wonder about a high C, anybody remember the original TV series Dragnet? Anybody old enough to remember that? Friday, Joe Friday, what did he say? Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. High C off the chart C. That is a C. That's all they want. They don't want you to embellish anything. They, you look at the last thing here. Treasures perfection. All right? And so you're somebody like me and my personality style, and you know, they're looking at me like, you're nuts. Right? Details. Details. You got to communicate with the C. Provide all the facts. Do not come to them with unvalidated facts. Do not come to them with unvalidated details. You better know that what you're presenting to them is right. Be precise in your explanation. Don't embellish it. Get to the point. Get right to the point. Be very specific. Very specific with the C. Be patient. It will drive you nuts. Okay? Be patient with the C. Answer all their questions, because if they're asking a question, they have to have an answer. They have to have an answer. It's in their DNA. Okay? If they ask for something more, get it as soon as possible. It's okay to say to them, you know what? I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get back to you by the end of the day. And you just committed to a C to get back to them by the end of the day, and you better do it, right? Connecting increases your influence in every situation. I was, I think, 16, somewhere thereabouts. I was in a leadership position in a youth organization. We had an event plan. but it required a bigger vehicle than what we had. Now, I don't know why the family station wagon wasn't available, but it wasn't. The only person who had a vehicle that was big enough was my grandfather. He had I think it was a 55 or 56 Chevy panel van. Anybody remember those, what they looked like, right? Now here's the finished carpenter. You would expect there to be some sort of sawdust, a nail, something in the back of the truck. That was immaculate. The thing with it was, I asked my mom, I said, do you think Papa will loan me the van? She laughed. He has never loaned a vehicle out to anybody. He would never do that. I mean, she read me the riot act. I said, well, I need something. I have to ask him. And she laughed. She said, go ahead. He's going to tell you no just like that. He didn't. I walked over to his house. I said what was going on and what the organization was, and he was in an adult organization, the same type of organization. He said, oh, absolutely. Threw me the keys. Now, I won't tell you what my mom said, but she was a little bit bent out of shape. So my date for that night was the daughter of the high school vice principal that I went to. Had a great time. We're on the way home. Shifting from first year to second year, so 3 on the tree. You know what that means? You have first, second, third, right? Go up to second, the gear shift lever goes, boop, boop. Nothing there. It drops out in neutral. So I goes to stop. You remember what I said about the van being so clean? Do you think I could find a nail, a screw, anything to put that gear shift mechanism back together? No, nothing. So I'm walking up and down the street. Now, you gotta understand, this is the late 60s. There are no cell phones. There wasn't a payphone in sight. Everything was closed. It was, I don't know, probably around 11 o'clock. By the way, my deadline was midnight. You will have her back here by midnight in no uncertain terms. Here's the vice principal. There's also the disciplinary. So I'm searching all over. I finally find a nail, I don't know, probably 100 yards down the road in the gutter, right? Come back, get everything going, and I looked at my date and said, we are going to be late. He's going to be so mad. We are in trouble, boom, boom, boom. Get back to the house. He's waiting for us. So I start to explain. Talk to him. He starts to smile. And I'm like, this is getting scary. I don't know what he's going to do. And finally he says, well, thanks for letting me know. And thanks for getting it back safe and everything else. And he points at my hands and says, now you know why I'm not upset. Grease all over my hands. She was wearing a white blouse. So, my grandfather was a high C. High C. That's why the van was so cool. He was a finished carpenter. Anybody knows anything about carpentry, it is precise. My uncle bought an old farmhouse that was built in probably around 1870. So this would have been somewhere around 1970, somewhere thereabouts. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and my grandfather's sitting there, and he's looking at the refrigerator, and it's like this. Everything is sloped. There wasn't a square corner or wall in that house. He looked at me and said, Sam, I have got to get out of here. So he went outside the house. But extremely high C. Analytical, problem solver, organized, scheduled, creative, quality focused. You know, it was awesome. Loved to be around him. I miss them both. So, now remember, what did we say my grandmother was? Off the chart D. Grandfather's off the chart C. D's and C's generally do not mix. Okay? Now, they didn't have the benefit of a disc or any of the other profiles. What they had was 50 plus years of marriage. They knew how to give each other space. And some of the stories they told were like, I still laugh when I hear them, or when I remember them, I guess I should say. How much easier would it have been for them as a couple to know that she was a high D and he was a high C? I can't believe your grandmother did that. I can't believe he did that. You know, I heard that a lot, but it all had to do with the communication styles. So, why is this important in today's professional environment? To be blunt, to be very blunt, we're dealing with a generation which has a serious lack of interpersonal skills. Pure and simple. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to live, for the most part, in a corporate environment. If you have somebody who is that millennial Gen Z in a corporate environment and they are thriving, hold on to them. Figure out how to talk to them, figure out how to communicate with them, because they are rare. And I don't know how many of you are actually involved in hiring, training, and sometimes firing folks, but I'm telling you, it's rare right now. So this, any of you who are millennials or Gen Zs, you may not like this. Millennials and Gen Zs fall into these are their issues. They're entitled, they're narcissistic, they're unfocused, and they're lazy. And there's scientific studies, so if you doubt my representation here, let me know and I'll send it to you, okay? And Simon Sinek did a really good presentation on this. They lack the essential social and communication skills to thrive in a corporate environment, in a professional environment. Well, why is that? We've identified 4 different areas that really affects them. So when you're hiring a Gen Z, a millennial, and you ask them, what do you really want out of a job? I want a job with purpose. Okay. I want a job where I can make an impact. What does that mean to you? They have no idea what it means, right? I don't want beanbags, cappuccino machine, and free food, right? So, and these are like the top 5 answers out of like 10. And after the purpose and impact, it all comes down to the niceties, right? They get frustrated very easily. So, why are they that way? Okay, so those of you who are parents, and who like this, failed parenting skills. In the 80s and 90s, what did everybody get? Oh, nobody lost that game. Nobody won that game. But everybody knows who won and who lost, and so everybody gets a trophy. Because we don't want to hurt your feelings. Well, folks, there are winners and losers in every competition. And there's nothing wrong with losing if you get back up, dust yourself off, and get back in the game. It's when you don't get up that it becomes fatal. Failure's not fatal if you get back up. Doesn't matter how many times you fail. It matters how many times you get back up and get back in the game. So, technology. I'll get into some of that in a minute. It's a killer. Impatience. Microwave mentality. Okay? I listened to a guy, and he was talking about his daughter, and this is at least 10 years, probably 15 years ago, when she came in with multicolored hair and spiked and piercings and stuff like that, and she's standing there at the microwave, and she's saying, I don't have a minute to wait for this. You know, a minute. And so, very impatient. And their environment. Failed parenting strategies, like we talked about, they're being told, you can have anything, be anything, do anything you want, you don't have to work for it. we did that. Some of us did that to our kids. Participation medals. Last place gets the same thing as first place. So, the winners, they're devalued. And did it do anything for somebody who's lost their self-esteem? Do you think those kids weren't smart enough to know that the other teams scored 20 runs and we didn't score any? They know. And so you devalued what it was they were doing. What happens when you get to the real world? There are no participation medals in corporate America, right? You showed up to work today, and no. You're 10 minutes late every day. This is your first warning. You're late again. This is your second warning. You're late after that. Third warning. You're out of here, right? That's corporate America. And those of us in the room know that. They don't. They find out that, oh, Mom can't get that raise for me. My dad can't get that promotion for me. I'm going to have to do it myself. I don't know how to do that. And, oh my goodness, I have to show up to work on time? And I have to stay here all day? Are you kidding me? You know, we know they fail sometimes. Gotta let it go. Technology. I could probably talk for several hours on technology. But you stop and think about it. At the church, you're not allowed to have a cell phone in the meeting. Now what we've done is not only not allowed to have it in the meeting, when you come into the conference room, you leave the cell phone at your desk, or you leave the cell phone in your office, somewhere totally away from where you are. It's not in your purse turned off. It's not in your pocket turned off. You definitely don't have a right to set it on the table, because that's telling everybody in the room that this meeting is not important to you. It's a psychological thing. So what do? What did we all do here when we got here? We networked. But everybody in this room knows how to network. They don't. They have no interpersonal skills because they've spent their entire life on a cell phone, on a computer. No interpersonal skills. If you go into a meeting, what happens? You go to a conference. What's the most important time in conferences? You go to, John Maxwell has a conference twice a year, calls it International Maxwell Certification Conference, right? 5,000 plus people. The speakers are all good. They're all great. They're all from around the world. They do a really good job. Where does the real information come from? Where does the real collaboration come from? It's in the hallway. And you're not going to get it if you're doing this. And so we encourage our folks to leave them at home. And the downside to that, we have the same problem as every other church, is that all of our stuff is online. So we've kind of trying to cut back on the amount of paper, so all you got to do is scan the QR code. That comes the morning notes, that comes everything you need for the service, and you're looking at that, and then you get a notification from Facebook, and it's like, let's go check that. Oh, I got a text. And pretty soon, sermon's half over, and you haven't heard a word you said. And trust me, there's folks that are in our age bracket that do the same thing. Think about the filters that you can use, and I'm not real big on. I had my granddaughter show me how to use filters, okay? I still don't get it, but you can make yourself look like anything you want to look like. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, there's a new one out there, Threads, okay? It's a fake life. Talk to a Gen Z or a millennial after they've been unfriended by a couple of people. It's trauma, okay? And they're not even their friends. There's somebody on Facebook. You know, you go to my personal Facebook page and there's over 1,000 friends. I don't know half of them. A lot of them are from business connections, and that's where I know them from. How many friends do I have? How many friends do you have? You know, good, close friends, I can count on one hand. But millennials, Gen Zs, They're counting on that social media. They're counting on that technology. And I know we do everything on our cell phones, okay? I mean, just look at how many apps you have. And how many of you don't use a cell phone for business or business transactions or stuff like that, right? Yeah, we all do. So think about this when it comes to cell phones. Cell phones are part of an addictive behavior and culture. What happens when you have your notifications turned on? You do this really cute post and everything is I'm looking good and everything else, and you get a like. Boom, dopamine hit. Seriously, what happens to an alcoholic when they take a drink? Boom, dopamine hit. Drugs, dopamine hit. Gambling, dopamine hit. It's an addiction that we've allowed the younger generation to buy right into, and we're not recognizing what it is. I am a student pastor out of the church, so my age, and I'm dealing with teenagers still, right? And they're fun, but I don't let them have their cell phones. We leave them over here, put them in a basket, turn them off. I don't want to hear it ring. As soon as it's over, as soon as the service is over, what do? Boom, boom. Look how many likes I got, right? Now you have a massive dopamine hit. Boom, 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 boom. Right? They don't know how to have friends. They don't know how to operate in a world that we are in now. Think about this. Dating. Okay? What is it? Swipe right? I don't know. Anybody know? There's an app out there. You know, you see somebody, they swipe right. Oh man, they hooked up with me. Right? Yeah, this is going to be great. So what's reality in a relationship? And you know, meet Amelia. Now, the one thing that Amelia doesn't know is that first off, she's going to be part of this demonstration, and secondly, you never give a preacher a microphone. So, hi. What's your name? Hi. Hey. My name's Sam. Would you like to get a drink?
Can you text me first?
Yeah, right, okay. And so there's no real interpersonal action there. And how are you going to form a lasting relationship? We live in an instant gratification world. 46% of marriages end in divorce. Now there's a downside to that. That means 64% of marriages end in death. Okay, come on, that was fun. But seriously, that instant gratification. Thank you. I got a notification today that the maximal method of DISC was just accepted by the United States Air Force Academy to be used in all of their leadership training. If you can communicate, you can lead. If you can't communicate, you're not going to be a good leader. My DISC profile is IDS. Okay? I'm easily distracted, shiny objects in the man, especially when it comes to training webinars and training people. My coach loves me. Hey Sam, I got this. Okay, what's how much? Okay, here's my card. That's all Dr. Rick has to do, and I'm pretty much on board, right? I don't pay a whole lot of attention to detail, but I can argue and I can get very impatient with you, and I do resist change. However, I can be very influential. I am outgoing and people focused. I can take charge and do the tasks, but I would rather be right? Unloyal. To a fault. To a fault. What would happen to your organization if you took this back and began to communicate with them on the level that they understood? Where do you think you could grow? What would happen if I talked to you every day on the level that you understood, because I understood what you was how you hear, or you. get our HR people to understand that it's not personnel. Because I'm telling you what, they have a box for every job. If you don't fit in the D, I, S, or C for the job that they're looking for, you're not gonna get an interview. You know what, there's an algorithm which keeps you out of that. The absolute best thing you can do for your organization, go back to you gotta come in and apply by hand. Pure and simple, because you can determine right then and there what is their, this profile. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you for listening to me. Did I make my time? Sure. Okay, thanks again. My name is David. I always end with this. However we do anything is how we do everything. Live intentionally, be very blessed, my friends.
Do you want to take any questions?
Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
You picked on millennials and Gen Z, but what about boomers?
So, boomers are gonna run into they have blinders on. Boomers, hey, if you're a boomer, you got blinders on. I'm telling you, you need to take blinders off. You know, everybody knows what blinder is, right? They put them on horses so they can't focus on anything outside of straight ahead.
My butt is
And
bigger
so
than I
that
thought.
is an issue with boomers. Does that answer your question?
No, it's just interesting if when you talk about communication and adapting to people, but then it is also that generational thing too, and it's like
It is.
finding that, well, where do you respect traditions and it's how it's always been done, but then if it could be done a different way now that is, better
Yes.
or more efficient,
And a lot of boomers are resistant to
Merge
change
things.
just because of the way they were brought up. However, the model works. So if you can figure out if the boomer is a high C, you can figure out right now.
Oh, the blood's too.
It all
That
works.
link.
But the biggest thing with boomers, first off, we're all getting close to retirement. Well, I don't know how many of you are planning on retiring, but, we're at an age where, unfortunately, been there, done that. We've done it this way for years, we've done this. I had a pastor, he said, I've been doing this for 40 years. I said, no, you haven't been doing it 1 year, 40 times over. Right? So if that's you, or that's somebody in your organization, you need to figure out their
first name, right?
personality profile, and begin to talk to them that way. Any other questions? Good question, by the way. Yeah.
So you said you're a youth pastor, you're gonna work with the younger kids.
Yes.
What I'm noticing is you don't have necessarily somebody who's coming into your organization with a skill set per se when it comes to like technique, right? How to run a machine. But they have their own skill set with the way that they think or what they can bring into our organization. What would be your advice having that hands-on experience with them? What strengths do they have that we can kind of focus on and foster to get them into these training technical positions?
Very good question. But the problem with that is our education
I would have to do like
is not
data
pushing the
validation,
trades
text,
like
yeah.
they should.
Cool.
We're not pushing the trades like we should. My grandson is a welder. He's good. He finished second place 2 years in a row in competition in Wyoming, the school competition we had scholarships and all that good stuff. Built bridges. Well, he fell last August. He fell and hurt his back and so. But yeah, they're not teaching the trades. The problem with it is there's a mindset that says if I don't go to college, if I don't get a degree in advanced basket weaving, then I'm not going to be successful. You have to show them the value. You have to, so they're working a machine on a piece of equipment that is one small piece of the equipment. You got to take them to the end of the production line and says, this is what you are building. This is what we manufacture. And I think that's a missing step when we begin to train and hire people, is that we forget to show them the end product. They think their little cog doesn't make a difference. What happens if you take a flywheel out of a standard transmission vehicle? They don't go, right? But if the guy from and I think that's the automotive industry, I think was probably the best at it when they walk people through the whole process. That's what we have to do. We have to go through the whole process. You have questions? Did I answer your questions?
enjoying meals with them. For example, they're on their cell phones maybe a little bit more, but my niece sees that college might not be the option because she sees that a lot of people don't have jobs, don't have industries. So she's thinking about a more creative solution with what she wants to do, whether that involves school or teaching herself through YouTube or whatever. So that might be a tool that, you know, I show them the whole process, but if I can get them on YouTube and say, hey, watch 3 videos here, you can be a sales guy, and then you can make this, and then
Right, and so, unfortunately, boomers, we don't use, well, I do, but most boomers won't use YouTube the way it should be used. You have an instructional video, and you can show them from start to finish, and look, attention span, okay? Do it in 5-minute increments. Hey, watch these 3 videos, 5 minutes each, that's 15 minutes, and if you do it right, they get all the information they need. Exposure. You need exposure to the process. They have to see the end result. They have to see that that's a B1, B-bomber that they're building. Okay? Have you ever seen one of those go off? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is it common for your DISC personality to change over time? Like I used to think I'm an I, now I think I'm a C.
Okay, so yes and no. You can work on it and try and force the change. Takes a lot of time, but you're moving out of your natural instinct. And so, can you bring more C in? Yes. And it depends there again on your position. So I said I'm an IDS, right? In the pastoral role, I am an ultra high D. We did this in a church that I was in, and because the pastor went, I need to know who I'm dealing with, right? And it comes back to, I don't know if we can work together. You are such a high D. No, I'm an IDS. In a pastoral role, my D comes out. So there may be some roles where your C just comes out. Okay? And for the most part, you are never just a D, never just an I, never just an S, never just a C. Always remember, D and I's play very well together. S and C's play very well together. Okay. Anything else? Yes?
I was just gonna say, you know, there's so many other contextual things to take into consideration. So I am the daughter of a World War II Marine. I'm very young for that. My parents lived through the Depression, so my millennial children are actually they're not separated by their age. They're separated, they're much more like baby boomer kids instead of millennials. So I think there's so much contextual stuff, including all of our immigrants, I mean, are just amazing in so many ways that they don't necessarily fit this. And I know just from my own children, you know, they are competing with immigrant children that are here for the first time to make that difference. And so while I love the organizational structure, stereotypes make me...
And that's the problem when you use DISC improperly. Okay? Because what it's being used for in the corporate world is to pigeonhole people. And here's the other thing. What was the first thing I said about the problem with Gen Z and millennials? Failed parenting. Obviously, in your case, there's not failed parenting because you passed on the type of parenting that you were taught, right?
Which isn't all healthy, because I heard...
No, I understand. No, I understand. I can remember the last time they grabbed the belt, you know, and so, but yeah, no, you're right. And if you're in a scenario where a coach or a person puts you in a box, get out. Find somebody who actually understands and can coach you through that. Very valid. Anything else? Okay.
All right, let's give Sam a round of applause. All right, thank you so much, Sam, for presenting.